What's going on, anyone who cares? I go by Free Tony, and welcome to Volways, where we always talk volunteers baseball. And by we, I mean me. Welcome to episode 2 of Volways. The 2023 baseball season has officially begun. The first weekend is officially in the books. Man, what a crazy weekend. Didn't start out how Tennessee wanted it to. A lot of teams didn't start out how they wanted to, but that's the beauty of the first weekend of college baseball, isn't it? You got to love that it's back. You got to love that the weather's changing. You got to love that the fan bases are coming back out in droves. It's just the best time of year, in my opinion. But before we get into recapping this weekend, when I left you guys last time, I asked you a trivia question on the way out. And just to recap, I asked you if true false, if the official color of the Golden Gate Bridge is Tennessee orange. And that answer would be false. The answer is actually international orange. And now that we have that out of the way, let's go ahead and get into what happened this weekend. So as I mentioned before, this weekend did not start how the Tennessee baseball team, and especially the fan base, expected it to. As you can see over my shoulder, I came up with the phrase of the weekend, and it is a reality check, a big reality check. This is not last year's team. We have a lot to improve on. And quite frankly, this weekend was okay to watch, but it wasn't exactly fun to watch. I knew we weren't going to be scoring runs like last year, but I expected to come out a little bit crisper than this. So we'll go ahead and start with the recap of Game 1. But first things first, what is going on with the NCAA and the transfer portal? Is it just Tennessee, or are other schools experiencing this too? 2 hours before our first game against Arizona, the team found out, this is what the commentators were telling us all weekend. The team found out that our transfer shortstop from Kansas is not eligible and is not cleared to play with us yet. Help me make that make sense. This kid basically committed to transfer to Tennessee almost as soon as the baseball season ended. So is it a University of Kansas thing? Is it a University of Tennessee thing? Is it a NCAA thing? We had the same thing with Brew McCoy in football season. What is going on? Why is he not cleared to play yet? So, I mean, personally, that just started the bad juju off the bat. I mean, before we even threw the first pitch. I mean, we have players that aren't cleared to play yet, which is mind-boggling. So, getting into the game, I knew Arizona wasn't going to be bad, okay? They're always a strong program, even though they have a second-year head coach. Their lineup is great. But for us, though, we had Chase Dollander on the mound, and he wasn't himself in the first inning. The first inning, he threw 29 pitches. And quite honestly, he couldn't find the strike zone. He'll tell you that if you ask him. But he couldn't find the strike zone. Less than 30% were strikes, I think, out of 29 pitches. And the first batter of the game was a hit by pitch for him. First batter he faced was a hit by pitch. So right there, I mean, I know it's the beginning of the year. I know it's the start of the year, but we got to throw strikes. I mean, I know he'll pick it up, but that caught me off guard. I didn't expect him to start like that. But as the game went on, we had no energy. You could see it watching on TV. We didn't have any energy. I'm not going to say that the guys were playing selfishly, but I will say it looked like everybody was playing for a spot. Like, not that they were wishing their teammates ill, but they were putting so much pressure on themselves to produce, to get in that starting role when everybody knows it's the first weekend. That might not be the case. It's just how it looked as a fan watching it on the television. We pressed so much. It seems like we put so much pressure on ourselves. And I think last year has a lot to do with that. I mean, we were producing from game one, basically. And I think after the first couple innings, like guys weren't really having good at bats. Like I said, it looked like we were pressing. And I think that over time, we just started to realize, or they started to realize, like, we don't have the production that we did last year, at least not off the bat. I'm gonna give a shout out to Cal Stark, man. That kid came in a pinch hit for Charlie Taylor, and he went 2 for 2. I mean, right off the rip, played himself in the game too. But yeah, he's seeing it well right now. I know it's only 3 games in. We're only talking about the first one. We're only talking about the first game. We're only 3 games in, but overall, I mean, he's seeing the ball very, very well. But back to Chase Dolander real quick. Even though he started off rough, he did only go 4 2/3. He ended up with 81 pitches. That's probably about where the cutoff was. But he ended with 7 strikeouts, 3 hits, 1 walk, and 1 hit by pitch. So the first inning was bad, but he settled in pretty quickly after that, second or third inning. And then I believe he went 9 straight where he sat down in order. So, I mean, he turned it around fairly quickly, kept us in the game, kept them off the bases. He did a great job overall besides that first inning. Arizona's pitcher, he threw 6 innings, 6 Ks, 1 walk, 2 hit by pitch. We left so many base runners on, and it's just, like I said, we couldn't string anything together. That's just how it goes sometimes, and yeah, it was a struggle. It was kind of hard to watch, to be completely honest. One other thing I'd like to touch on in Game One, it was base running. There was one opportunity, I believe it was later in the game. I can't remember what inning it was, but there was a mix-up, a cross-up between the pitcher and catcher, and the ball ended up going off the umpire's chest. Now, I know sometimes you can't really see from where you're at first base, but if I remember correctly, we had a right-handed batter up, and there's really no obstruction to the first, whoever's on first. I don't know if it bounced off the umpire's chest, because it's not like the ball went to the backstop. I mean, the ball sat behind the catcher. It was still in the dirt. But like I said, I'm not sure if he just didn't see it or what, but that was definitely an opportunity for us to take a base and get in a scoring position when we were down. Our defense did not look great. We were close to making a couple plays in the outfield. I'm talking probably a step, maybe a half a step too late. But that's just how it went in the first game. I mean, it seemed like everything was going Arizona's way. They were getting jam shots to fall. Their defense, their third baseman had a backhand down the line. That was just an incredible play. And we were hitting into the shift. Their shortstop made a diving play up the middle. It was just one of those games. I mean, and I feel like our team handled it fairly well. I know we can get pretty heated, but, you know, this isn't last year's team. And I think they know that, and I think they know they're going to have to handle themselves differently because this is not last year's team. Getting into Game 2 here, I knew Grand Canyon was going to be a problem. I don't know if any of y'all have ever really heard of Grand Canyon, but they've won their conference back-to-back years. I did know that I did not know that they have 2 top 100 MLB draft prospects. So they're not a bad program. They're just not. They're very good, and they showed that they were very good. They made plays, they hit, and they're just overall solid. Man, let's start with Tennessee's offense, okay? So we actually out-hit Grand Canyon 7-5. We had 7 hits. We struck out 6 times. and we had 6 walks. So, not a horrible offensive performance, but again, it just seemed like we couldn't string anything together. Um, I'm looking at some individual or what happened during the game here. Denton was 1 for 1 with 3 walks and a base hit. And then, man, Cal Stark hit a clutch 2-run home run. And that, like I said, man, that kid's just seeing the ball well right now. We'll get to him again a little bit later. I personally believe he's going to end up being back there in the catching spot, just simply based on his bat. I think we can find someone else in the DH spot. But Chase Burns started game 2 against Grand Canyon, and he had almost a similar first inning to Chase Dolander in game 1. He threw 24 pitches in the first inning. Overall, he finished with 72 pitches, went 4 2/3 like Chase did in game 1. He only gave up 3 hits, had 7 strikeouts, 1 walk, and 1 hit by pitch. And he settled in. He was dealing. He looked good. I'm going to point this out, man. Our team looks strong. I don't know what you're doing to them, Q, but good gracious, dog. These boys look strong. Charlie Taylor, to me, from last year to this year, night and day. Absolutely night and day. I feel like Blake's lost a little weight. He's put a little more size on. These boys are big, and I love it. But going back to game 2, man, a lot of there were a couple questionable calls that didn't really hurt us. Chase picked the guy off at first. It's easy to see on replay sitting at home, but he was picked off. The umpire called him safe. But one thing that I am thinking did go our way was we were in the field. They had a play at the plate, and it was bang bang. I mean, honestly, if he called him safe, I don't know. I don't know if it was any different. It was almost like they got there at the same time, but that was extremely close. But ultimately, what killed us in game 2 was our fielding and our base running. Our defense had 3 errors at pretty big times, to be honest. A couple of them with 2 outs. I mean, it would have kept them off the scoreboard off the base paths. Would have got us out in the inning. But base running was key, man. Base running was huge. We had one incident where it got past the first baseman, and that field is so small that it bounced off the wall, and I mean, the first baseman didn't have to run, but maybe 10, 15 feet to get it, and then threw our guy out second. It really wasn't even close. But then in the top of the 8th inning, we got 2 outs. Zane works an at bat to get on base. He walks, and then I don't want to get on him too bad, but he's a veteran. What is he doing trying to go from first to third on a line drive to right field? I mean, he was thrown out by half the baseline. It wasn't even close. He shouldn't have even slid. He should have just walked right into the glove and just said, "Oh, thank you, I'll take that." I mean, what was he thinking? But that's a story for another day. I just feel like I just had to get that off my chest. I don't want to harp on it too much. He knows it. Tony knows it. I think everybody knows it. And I will say he improved from game 2 to game 3. But that was pretty much it for game 2. I mean, Grand Canyon's a good team. They kept fighting for the end. We couldn't capitalize on some opportunities. We left a few base runners on. But I will point out that on the broadcast, the commentators were talking about it a little bit. I think they need more lighting. I mean, when they showed the overview of the field, the infield was lit up perfectly fine, but it was like the outfield was nighttime. Like there was barely any light getting into the outfield, but that didn't really affect anybody. There weren't any drop fly balls or anything like that. It's not like they couldn't see. Just something I'd point out. It was an incredible facility. Field was great. The fans, I got to give credit to some fans, even though they were chanting overrated at the end. Good luck in your conference. But yeah, you got to love it. Baseball's back. I love it. Moving on to game 3, we finally looked like we were putting stuff together. We finally looked like we were coming together and gelling as a team. It started off a little slow. We didn't score until the 4th inning, but we were putting some good at-bats together. We were seeing the ball well. I know we have a few strikeouts here, but nothing that looked bad. I mean, we were swinging the bat. We were aggressive. I do like how Coach Elander has been throwing in a lot of hit and runs, but the bad thing is we haven't been executing those hit and runs, let alone hit and runs. We haven't been executing a bunt. We haven't gotten a bunt. We might have gotten a bunt down in game 3. I'm not sure. I don't remember. I don't think we did. But we've had at least 3 chances to get a bunt down, 3 calls to get a bunt down, and we just didn't do it. Couldn't do it. But I think the highlight of game 3 is Drew Beam. Drew Beam absolutely shoved. I don't know what his pitch count was. I had to stream it. The stream wasn't very good. There was 2 camera angles. There was behind the plate showing the pitcher and catcher, and then there was zoomed out showing the whole field. But yeah, Drew Beam absolutely shoved. 6 innings pitched, 6 strikeouts, 3 hits, and no walks. That's a day right there. And that's our Sunday guy. I mean, imagine when both chases start putting it together, and hopefully they can get on the same level they were last year and just shoving every single weekend. But like Dolander pointed out, they interviewed him in game 2. He didn't have a great start to last year. He said Baylor kind of hit him around. He wasn't finding the strike zone in his first start last year. So hopefully that trend will continue for this year for him as far as performance-wise. I'm going to point out that Zach Joyce made his debut, where I'm excited to see him pitch this year. He's just electric, man. The Joyce brothers are just absolutely electric. Blake Burke. BB. What got us going today was Blake Burke. 2 for 4, triple, and a home run. Yeah, buddy. Man, I really want to see his bat get going. He didn't do bad in the first 2 games, but yeah, I can't wait to see him get going. I wonder how long how deep into the year the commentators are going to be talking about how he tied the freshman record last year with under 100 at-bats because our team was so good. I wonder when they're going to stop all that. I really don't think they will. They might stop mentioning it. I don't know. Maybe next year. I don't really know. It's just like, can you find something else to talk about? Griffin Merritt also made his debut today. I didn't realize he was suspended the first 2 games. I was wondering where he was, but Griffin, I got some advice for you. I know you like Coach Tony Vitello, but you don't have to try to be like him in every aspect, man. You don't have to wear a baseball to the face when you're batting, all right? Duck out of the way, all right? I'm just joking with. Yeah, that about sums up this weekend, man. I hope we get this. I hope we get Maui coming in soon, man. That's irritating to me. It's so irritating. Even the commentators didn't really know how to explain it because they weren't told anything. But that's just so. I can't believe that he had family fly in for this weekend to see his debut with Tennessee. And 2 hours before game 1, he's told he can't play. He's still not cleared. I just don't get that. I really don't get that. Free Maui, man. Free Maui. That's all I got to say. To wrap it up here, got one more trivia question for you. I changed. I'm gonna change up these trivia questions. I'm gonna change them to questions that have to do with Tennessee, not just baseball, football, or whatever, but anything that has to do with the state of Tennessee. So, episode two's trivia question is: what three-time NASCAR Winston Cup champion was born in Franklin, Tennessee? And that's a hint for you. Winston Cup. Winston Cup. Okay? All right, that's it for episode 2 of Always. First weekend of college baseball in the books. Tennessee starting off 1-2. Not a great start, but about where I expected it to be. Reality check. This isn't last year's team. There's going to be a lot more one run, 2 run, 3 run ball games. I don't see us scoring 10, 12, 15 runs a game. I know it's the first weekend, but I don't see it happening. I do not see this team even coming close to the home run record or run record from last year. But that's it, guys. If you could just leave a like. If you feel like commenting your answer, go ahead. And that's a wrap for episode 2. Go Vols. Peace.